Welcome to the first edition of the 2023 edition of First and 10 with Rams head coach Joe Prud'homme. I'm Jimmy the St. Christopher, an excited Jimmy Christopher, as we have a bunch of stuff to dive into, one of which being the jewel that the Rams will be playing in this year, the Crowley ISD multi-purpose stadium. It's just a gem. We'll get to that in a little bit. We have a lot to unpack, so let's dive into it, Joe. Okay. First of all, recruitment. Yes. Sum up your recruiting class, and how do you see the recruiting class?
I think our recruiting class was outstanding. We ended up getting a lot of long guys, a lot of good length, the guys that can really run, got some size for the offensive line, and some real speed. And that's what we've been recruiting more than anything else is, just speed, athleticism, and that they're really solid academically. I think the GPA overall for this group coming in was a 3.18. That is really, really strong. But, we want to make sure that we can keep them once we get them here and let them roll forward. But, got a really great quarterback, got some good defenders, got some really solid receivers, got a couple good backs. DBs, we really got some great DBs. Feel good about some of the linebackers we brought in. It was a really good recruiting class, really solid recruiting class. We're happy with it. We feel like each one has gotten a little bit better in different attributes, whatever they may be. In this crew, we're going to have some freshmen playing, and if you play for us as a freshman, you're pretty good. You're pretty good.
Good athletes, and they're smart. So the two biggies. How was summer camp this year?
It was the best one we've had. We haven't had a summer camp that good since I've been here. Last spring was outstanding. We had our best spring. The kids really bought in. They worked their tails off. They got better. We could, a lot of measurable improvement this past spring and summer. It just seems like the buy-in is getting stronger and better, and they really want to play for each other. And I felt like we took some strides, some real strides in the last, 6 months it may be, however long it's been.
Losses, Petway, Carroll, Nelson, Ralph. How about the returners? Who's returning?
And Charlie. We lost Charlie. Yep.
Yeah, Charlie.
PJ, Chance. Yeah, you name those guys. That was some great athletes we lost. I mean, there were some guys that were really big-time contributors, but I feel like, most of the guys coming in and replacing them are doing a great job. They've either been in the program or were here for spring training or whatever. And, we have a couple of transfers that have come in that are going to help us, but mainly it's guys that have grown up through the ranks. And, we got Aryan Bahat who came in. He's out of Denton Guyer originally, Missouri State. He's in our MBA program. He's a D lineman. We feel really good about him. Eric Mendoza was here last year, had some eligibility issues. He's back on track, so he's back in the fold and looks really, really good. And then some of those young guys are just like the receivers. They were here and they're coming up. We have one transfer receiver, and he's going to be good. But the guys that have been here are the ones that are going to really make it go. Running backs are still pretty solid. The DBs, we have a few freshmen that may end up playing. And that's always kind of scary, but it's also, they're super athletic and they're smart. They know how to do it. They know how to play. They're long. So we feel good about it out there. Our tackling is probably improved. But it's hard to lose those other guys with all that experience and just say, oh, we're going to be great without them. But I think we will be really good. They got to get some game experience. They got to grow up.
2 scrimmages, one a couple of weeks ago against Southwestern. This past weekend, John Melvin out of Crowley, no puns intended,
right,
in the Jewel Crowley Independent School District multipurpose stadium just this past weekend. Their first game ever. What did you take away from the 80-0, not that we were keeping score, but the 80-0 victory over Melvin?
Yeah, I mean, we really wanted to be in game situations. We wanted to be able to work the sideline. We wanted to work on our substitutions. We wanted to work on different types of drives coming out. We were able to get a NASCAR drive in, 2-minute offense. We were able to get lined up for a quick field goal and then just play situational football. And we weren't really focused on them as much as we were just on us and our own game mechanics. The score to me was really irrelevant. They're, like you said, they're a young program. They just started out. I've been there, done that, 17. Mm-hmm. So I understand how that rolls out. But we really just wanted to work on game situations, game management, in and out of different scenarios, getting into special teams, the transition. So instead of it being like a scrimmage to where set number of plays, okay, that's fine. People go to sleep. You want to be able to make those substitutions in game like we did. And I would say we was mission accomplished overall.
How much improvement did you see in your quarterbacks? Carson Rogers, who started, I thought he looked sharp, and Cole Francis, the backup.
I think both quarterbacks looked really good. We're not trying to ask them to do a lot. We're not asking them to do a whole bunch of different reads and make it real complicated. We're trying to get them in a situation where they see the field, see the read, and deliver the football, and deliver with some velocity and put it right on them. Also carry out their fakes and just manage, not only manage the offense, but really operate in the offense. I thought both of them looked really good. I was impressed.
And of course, Ernest Caesar and Nick David West running for a bunch of touchdowns. I think they had 5 touchdowns between them. But how about Ashton Mitchell Johnson? I'm just going to call him AMJ.
Yeah, that's what we call him. That's what we call him, AMJ. AMJ's he's right there. I mean, if Nick has a poor practice or a poor effort, AMJ, he may pass him. AMJ can run. Now he is fast. He's powerful. He's a load to bring down the way he's built. And he's spectacular on special teams. I don't know if you've seen him on special teams. He is spectacular. Vernon Harrison is the freshman back that came in. He had a really nice touchdown run. He's another one that's going to be in the mix. They're young, but Ernie was young. They're young. Nick David was young. It's going to be real competitive on who gets on the field. It's going to be real competitive who gets meaningful carries. It's just going to be super competitive in that room. It's a strong room, and Ernie is the bell cow. He's got the experience, but the other 3, they're really close to each other at this point.
And switching to the wide receiver room, of course, you got the electric twins, A.J. Bob and Jason Price, of course. And who else is electric? Who else stands out?
TJ is athletically gifted. He's got the speed. He's got the burst. He has that. We just got to get him more experience because he hasn't really played a meaningful football down yet in college yet. And that's no knock on him. That's just the reality of it. The games he's been in, he's come in mop-up roles. Last year he played a couple games, and that was so we could redshirt him. He's got some juice. He can go. You have Christopher Doyle's pretty good. He's the only one that scored last year against Louisiana Christian. Big, tall, lengthy receiver. Kylan Woods is pretty dynamic kid. He's out of northern Colorado. He's another local kid, came home. And you see Ronnie Schneider's pretty daggum. He's pretty twitchy too. He can go. So we've got some guys that are pretty good in that room. Don't quite have the experience. The speed is probably pretty close to what it was. Rolf had really good speed, obviously, and Rolf was a great route runner. So those guys, as long as they continue to improve in their routes, they'll be fine. We got some young receivers that are really, really good. We got a Baylor Williams, and he gave the defense fits last week. He's probably about 6'4.5" and can go get it. We're going to try to redshirt him, but it's a pretty electric group as far as speed and making some plays. And of course, Jason Price and Bob are just on a different level of a lot of people, and so we're excited about them. I mean, there's a lot of ability. They're going to have to make plays. Them and the quarterback have to make plays, because if I'm playing us, you're going to see 9 or 10 in the box. You got to prove to me that you can beat us throwing the ball. And I think that's the way a lot of opponents are going to come at us. And that's what I expect out of Ottawa. I figure they're going to load the box and bring the heat and show us, hey, is that Q for real? We're going to find out. And I think that's what we'll see.
The O-line seems pretty much intact. Of course, you lost the great John Nelson. Who's going to fill in? Who's going to not replace Nelly, but who's going to replace him?
Yeah, well, we have Caden Glasgow, one of Alito's guys. And
right.
We played him at tight end last year and moved him back to tackle, and he's done a great job. The thing you're going to know about Caden Glasgow, you're going to get every ounce of whatever he has all the time. He's technically probably our best as far as just being a technician. And then on the right side, we have Ogden Morrison, who's possibly the most athletic offensive lineman we have. And he did a really, really good job. We still have Christian Byhan, who started last year, but he had an ankle injury. He's coming back. So that's another experienced offensive lineman. Cedric Malone out of North Crowley is playing really well at left tackle as well as a backup coming in and rolling in. One of our rotational guys. Got Cannon Thomas, who had a lot of meaningful snaps last year at the other guard. So that room is good. I mean, they're experienced. I'm really excited about our new coach that we have, Forrest Garner, that's come in, and he's done a great job with them. Kobe Kraft has come in at the quarterback spot. He's got a really, really deep knowledge of the quarterback position, trained with Mahomes and a lot of those guys, has been to the highest level of coaching with those guys. And, he played at North Texas. We recruited him here. I thought I was going to get him. Ended up signing with North Texas. Had some concussion issues, problems. Came back, and he's going to get his MBA here as well. And he's really, really great with the quarterbacks. I think Carson and them have benefited from him. Coach Johnson was coaching him last year and took him a long way, but that allowed him to slide into the running back and tight ends role and continue to run the offense. He still has oversight on the Qs as well, but I'm really fired up about our staff. I'm really fired up by the way we get along, by the way we all have the exact same vision. Everybody's rowing the same direction, and they do a great job with what they do and the way they communicate, the way they teach. Because for me, you got two rules. You got to be able to really love my kids, and then you got to coach them, and you got to teach them. And they both check those boxes. All the coaches do. So I think you're going to see it play over and carry over to the field, and you kind of already have. You can see they're in sync really well. We're going to face a lot of blitzes this week. We're going to face a lot of exotic stuff. We just have to be able to manage it and just play.
On the other side of the ball for the Rams, who are you looking to fill the holes on defense?
It's you got Jay Reed back. He's going to take on a bigger role. Dalen Rogers is going to be our free safety. He comes in for Elijah Hall, who is a veteran, a really, really smart football player. Dalen's probably a little faster, a little more explosive, has a deep knowledge as well. He will come up and strike you. He's a big-time hitter. So we feel like in run game support, he's going to be a real good run fit. On the corners, we have Sincere Blackman, the 6'3", 6'4" corner. He's going to get to play. Darion Brown out of San Antonio as a freshman. He is super, super fast. I don't really know what he is. He's supposedly been clocked at a 4.38. I don't know if that's true or not. He looks like it. He is a track guy, and he can go. We have Nick Williams out of Beaumont. He's a freshman, but he's long. He's like 6'2". So you got length there. You got athleticism. You got some guys that can play. Tremaine Golphin, who redshirted last year at linebacker, who was studying under Petway's, one of the new linebackers coming in. D-line is pretty intact. Most of those guys, except for Bots, really come on as an inside interior guy. We got Abogan back. We got Archie back. We got Kobe Adams back. We got Mendoza, who's playing. He practiced with him, but he didn't play, so he's back. We got a nose tackle out of Katy, who started at Katy High School, Easton Schultz, and he's pretty physical, big kid that came in and played. Keaton Wilson out of Wichita Falls is another interior lineman, and those two are very interchangeable. We call them the Bash Brothers. They're just kind of like the on the hockey movie. I can't remember what it's called with Newman, and they're very Slapshot. Yeah, they're very similar to the Bash Brothers. They come in and they're roommates, and they just go at it, and they get upfield, and they're really physical. They're very active. They're fun to coach. They're fun to watch. So that's a couple more young guys that are coming in. So we got some, and Zeno's going to play, Marcia Shelley, who played a lot of special teams. He looks great at the end in the bandit position. He's fast. You talked about, when you asked about spring ball and summer camp, Zeno might have had the best spring and summer of anybody as far as taking his game up. He was pretty good last year. He was pretty good. He got a lot stronger, the spring and then the summer. And, he's battling a little injury right now, but I expect him to be really ready to go, come Saturday. And he was one of those special teams demons last year. So I really expect to see some great things out of him this week.
And speaking of special teams, you got the three-headed monster now kicking. Two guys coming back. Yep. Tell us about the new kid.
Yeah, you got Gare Blodgett, who redshirted last year. He's got a strong leg. He hit I think a 52 or 51-yarder in the first scrimmage. He was kicking it 8 yards deep in the end zone on kickoffs. He hit a 62-yarder in warm-ups. You got Francisco Castillo, who's back. He was a kickoff guy for us last year. Armando Benitez is not back, but I think those two have really done a great job of filling in. But we had them last year. They just have grown up and gotten better. And then we have our prodigal son, who came back from University of Texas, went out there, started, was in the top 3 in the Big 12 in punting. He's coming back to get his MBA. He has a year of eligibility at NAIA that he wouldn't have had at NCAA. He's really anxious to get an opportunity to kick in the NFL. He's got the leg. He is an outstanding. He was really close in some tryouts and things in the off season. So he's looking to really take his game up another level, but also get his MBA at the same time, and in the greatest city in the world, in Fort Worth. So he's looking to really build his brand, and we're anxious to have him back. He's as hard a working kid as I've ever been around. I mean, he is constantly doing drills. He's constantly working on the next thing. He's working his mechanics, his drops. He has different things going on throughout practice. And a lot of kickers and punters, I mean, they do their thing, and they may work on a few drills here and there, but that dude never stops moving and is never not, stopping to take time or waste time. He is always working to improve himself. And then he's over there stretching, and he's over there getting the ice baths, and he's legit. He's legit. So I feel like our kicking game it's spot on. I think we're going to be really good kicking game.
The Rams were tied last year for the SAC title with Ottawa, who they play this week. We'll get into that extensively here in a bit. And lo and behold, they're tied again for the top spot in the SAC poll. And if that wasn't enough, Rams and Ottawa in the top 25. Ottawa is 19. They were 7-2 last year. Rams 9-2 last year. They're 21st. How does that happen? They're 19th. You're 21st this season.
Well, it's kind of who votes.
Okay.
We've been there, and Ottawa votes, and Langston votes this year, and
so
but
9-2.
But there's also, I mean, to be fair, Ottawa also has a tradition of making the playoffs.
Okay.
And they had that tradition. We don't have that. I mean, they have that, and a lot of times with the other voters across the nation, they will lean on more traditional programs. Well, they have had early success that we're trying to get to have, and so I'm good right now with the ties. I mean, I have no problem with that. We get to settle it Saturday. I'm excited for the opportunity to get to play them. I hate that we're playing them this early, but why not? If we're going to, whenever you're going to play them, you play them. The schedule, the way they do it is it's kind of a random order. They assign numbers, and then they do it's just a random deal, and then you get your number, and there we are, Ottawa right out of the bank. So I'm good with it. They've earned the right to be higher ranked than us at this point. We have to go and earn the right to get up there, to where people look at us and go, no, they got to be up there. But it boils down to who votes, how they vote regionally, and at this point, I'm good with the way it is right now. It's how it finishes for me. I mean, that's the most important thing.
In Arizona Christian, ACU out of the SAC along with Lyon, Arkansas Baptist in. Speaking of ACU, they were mauled by Ottawa last week in the opener for Ottawa, the Spirit, 37-7. They had 556 yards of total offense, did Ottawa. They had 7 sacks of ACU. So good roll into the opponent, like you say, out of the chute, playing a rival, 2 top teams in the top 25 in the NAIA. What more can you say about Ottawa?
They're great. I mean, they're really well coached. They're very aggressive. Their defense is, they're fast. They're physical. They give a lot of looks. They blitz. They bring heat when they want to bring heat. They disguise blitzes. Their line is never sitting still. Their secondary is very experienced. Don't give up big plays. They're a pretty impressive group. Kicking game is really, really good. I would say both of us are the top 2 in the kicking game that I've seen in conference. Their offense is always good. They're going to be really, really sound in what they do, how they execute. They're going to run the football. They got a young quarterback who's been in the program for a while. So him coming on, we need to really give him some issues, some problems, and some challenges, and we got to stop the run. We have to stop the run to have a chance. They have to stop our run, for them to have a really solid chance. I think it'll boil down to whoever has more takeaways, whoever turns over the ball the least, who can control the big plays, and whichever run game is the most successful. I think that's what you'll see. I think that the special teams play, somebody's going to make a big play, them or us, and that's going to be decisive in the game, because both of us put a lot of effort into our special teams. We put a lot of work into a lot of our athletes are there. Both of them are very sound. Special teams will be big. It'll be big, but it may also be a push because they are so good with each other. But it's going to boil down to who can make the big plays, who can contain the big plays. It sounds like coach speak or cliche, but it's really not in this one. I think neither team can afford, multiple mistakes. I think both of us are going to lay it out there, and I think that whoever makes the least mistakes will come out of there happy on Saturday night.
I'm excited, and I'm particularly excited because two things. Crowley ISD multi-purpose stadium. The hair standing up on my neck just talking about it. We did the scrimmage there the other night. And we welcome Antler Sports Network with up-and-coming broadcaster Jaron Jones. He's just a youngster, and he has his own network, and we're going to do the game on Antler Sports Network, and you can also catch the link on ramsports.net. But 7 o'clock kickoff at Crowley ISD. Just down 35W, jump on South Freeway, get off in Risinger, and then Hemphill. We'll take you right there.
Yeah.
6:30 for our pregame show, and we'll feature this edition of First and 10. We won't have much time because we get talking with Coach Joe, and I can't stop, especially after a long off season.
Yeah.
But, I'm excited, Joe, and thank you very much for you were the instigator with your connections at Crowley, and finally got out. Nothing against Farrington and Fort Worth ISD. We finally got out of Farrington.
Yeah, but I think we're in a great place. Like you said, Crowley's, it's just a newer, more modern stadium. It is so football-centric, and it's just everything that you could want to run a game. They really took their time building that stadium as far as the planning piece. They visited a lot of great stadiums, and it's really, really great environment. I love that there's no track, just because the football, there's right on top of you. There's plenty of room to operate, and the fan experience, I think, is so much better just because of all the extra amenities and the video board opportunities, the ribbon going on. It's the largest video board of any high school stadium in the United States of America.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's crystal clear. I mean, when you look at it and they do a close-up of a player, you can see the sweat beading up on coming off of him, and that's pretty impressive. And they got the community room that they have for the Ram Pass that you can get in there, and it's it's just, I think we've upped our game and game day presentation, and I'm just excited about the way it's unfolding.
And it's going to help the club too. I know it helped this broadcaster because I'm totally excited. So Rams open the season 7 o'clock Saturday night, September 2nd. At Crowley ISD Multipurpose Stadium. We'll have the pregame for you at 6:30 on Antler Sports Network. Coach, go get them. I'm pumped.
I am too. I mean, what a great way to open the season. I mean, just best way to put it. Best way to put it.
For Coach Joe Prud'homme, I'm Jimmy the St. Christopher, for Kenneth Flowers and James McBride and the whole crew and everybody at Crowley ISD Multipurpose Stadium. We'll talk to you next week on First and 10.